What's going on, H-Town? Houston Rockets fans all over the world from Mo City to Germany. My name is David Delano. This is Rockets Daily, brought to you by FanArch. Goal here simple: bring you Houston Rockets coverage the best that we can, and hopefully talking about a 2026 championship right here next season, and hopefully this time next year talking about a repeat. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel. That's the best way to help us grow. And comment. Been reading all those comments. Appreciate all the comments about Cam Whitmore. Well, most of you feel like we should have got more back in return, but definitely had a nice comment about needing to move on. And at the end of the day, I mean, it is what it is. Cam Whitmore is gone. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. We'll see how it plays out 2, 3, 5 years from now to see who got the best end of that trade. We'll see whether or not Cam's career takes off in Washington and what the Rockets do with those two future round picks. If we win a championship this year, obviously it won't matter. Podcast P thinks that the Dame Lillard can come to Houston or would be a good fit for Houston. We'll go ahead and touch on that. Also, I'm going to kind of get into just my personal feelings as far as why I think that the Rockets will win the championship next year. And then I'm also going to talk about why they won't. So we're going to go glass half full, glass half empty, and then we're going to touch back in with our segment on Rockets coverage, Rockets history in a little bit. So thanks so much for watching here. First of all, let's go ahead and get started with Dame Lillard, who most reports haven't really had him linked to the Rockets. And, you know, with the Achilles injury, Dame, I'm not really expecting him to play next season. So this could be more of a longer term move. And you wonder, like to know from you guys, how appealing is the idea of Dame even coming to Houston at this time of his career when you're looking at probably next year he's going to be rehabbing. If he's able to step on the court at all, how much of an impact would he really have? So if you get past this season, by this point, you know, you are hoping that Reed Shepard obviously able to make a bigger impact on the team. What happens with Fred there? All things to talk about. And the reason I'm bringing this up, Podcast P, Paul George on his podcast, he touched on this with Jim Jackson, and Paul George's quote was, when talking about Lillard, put him in Houston, you put him on that team there with KD. There's defense around him. There's length around him. He said, I always like it when it's a smaller guard and you pair him with length around him. There's enough youth around him where he doesn't have to carry the load. So how do you guys feel about that? Personally, I think that this is if this were to happen, a couple of different reasons, I guess, why it can happen. Obviously, Dame seemed to love it in Portland. Further away from his family now. Tried the Milwaukee thing to get a championship. Did not work out. You got to wonder, does he want to go back to Portland? Does he want to get a championship? Los Angeles, looking at some of these different scenarios. Houston, I believe, is going to give him as strong of a chance as any, at least on paper. But when you talk about him missing a season, this seems like one of those moves to me that would end up going down as one of those historical Rocket moves with the big name. It's splashy, but doesn't really result in a championship. As exciting as it would be, and I can't say that I wouldn't be excited to see Dame come here, I'm not sure that it really would make the team better. Durant's one thing. Talking about Dame probably next season, not the season coming up, but the season after that, definitely changes the identity of the team. I think you'd get talked about all the time, already getting a lot of love from the national media. But as far as winning, I'm not so sure at this point that is really the move. Now, if you could get Dame on the minimum, I mean, it's worth a shot on a short-term deal. But let me know what you guys think about that. I'm throwing it out there, and, I know Paul George threw it out there. A lot of guys not really thinking about what Dame would take. I know at this point of his career, you're like, well, Dame could just take whatever, the bare minimum to get a championship. Obviously, would have that veteran presence, and it could be something that could have a positive impact on the young players on this roster like Reed Shepard. But Dame already not great defensively, coming back from this Achilles injury. How's that also going to affect his offense? But you also have to wonder if he goes somewhere else like Los Angeles or whatnot, how are you going to be able to deal with that if you got to play against him? So would you rather have Dame or be against Dame? Chemistry would also be an interesting question as far as him getting touches and in the flow of the offense. It sounds great. It would be fun to see, but I think with the rehab road being so far ahead and we're so locked into what's going to come up on this season, I'm not sure that Dame, it sounds exciting, but not sure that that's really the move for the Rockets for next year. But let me know what you guys think. Chime in, and yeah, just let me know. I'm interested to see what you guys' opinions are because I'm not the be all end all with this stuff. So chime in, and I'm going to read all those comments about Dame, and we'll probably touch on it a little bit more even tomorrow. Now, with or without Dame, we're going to talk about right now with the way the team is looking, with most of the pieces in place. Definitely could be an additional move here or there throughout the season. Every team's going to have different moves, get to the trade deadline, going through summer league. But with the majority of this roster being set, and the Rockets having one of the more successful off seasons on paper out there in the NBA. It's debatable with the Denver Nuggets, but definitely landed the largest piece out there on the market with Kevin Durant. So we're going to talk about now why with those moves, why I think the Rockets will win the NBA title next season. And if you're a betting man or betting woman, you got plus 850 plus 900 odds. Get $850 profit off of $100 wager. If you're into those type of stuff, we're going to talk about why that could be money well spent. Well, first of all, a second best record in the West last season, although lost, we all know, first round of the playoffs in 7 games. Biggest thing that Udoka stated in the press conference after that Game 7 loss was that he thought his guys were ready, but the moment was just too big for a lot of guys. A lot of guys, it was kind of like deer in the headlights, and one of the biggest people that applied to was Jalen Green, who we all know, huge Game 2, but overall tremendously struggled. So you've basically made that swap for getting Kevin Durant, someone who definitely has shown not a deer in the headlights in the postseason, one of the top scorers of all time. You lost Dylan Brooks, lost some, lost a little bit of a defensive presence and playoff experience and swagger in Dylan Brooks being moved, but added Dorian Finney-Smith. We'll see how that goes in, but for the most part, on paper, his team is substantially upgraded. Şengün with Durant, it's Jabari Smith locked up now for an extension. He should have a bigger year. Fred coming back. When you look at that, this was already one of the elite defensive teams in the NBA, but we really struggled on 3-point shooting with Dorian Finney-Smith, with Kevin Durant, younger guys that should be showing improvement. 3-point shooting should be better. You've got another year in the system. You've got those those veterans, Steven Adams, Jalen Green. The Rockets are just not Jalen Green, Jeff Green. But Rockets can play big. Rockets can play small. There's so many different lineups that you can throw against teams on a nightly basis. Playoff matchups. So many different ways that this team throughout the season is going to be able to adjust. And there's a lot of flexibility on this roster. You look at Oklahoma City, won last season, but hate to do this type of stuff, but if Halliburton doesn't get hurt, this is a Pacers team that almost beat the Thunder, and I know almost doesn't count, but I think that this Rockets team, at least on paper, much better on paper than that Indiana Pacers team was last year. Thunder also had a tough series, went to 7 games with the Denver Nuggets, so 2 7-game series is there for the Oklahoma City Thunder. They're beatable. They're young. Rockets now with that combination of youth and veteran leadership and one of the greatest scorers of all time on the roster. All good reasons to go ahead and put your money on a Houston championship next season. Now, instead of just having one show here where I'm just and people look at it and I'm just being a fanboy and talking about how great the Rockets are and why they're going to win the championship. Those are all reasons why I think the Rockets can win the championship next year and will win the championship next year. Now we're going to talk about. You can tell me which argument you fall more on and why we may need to upgrade this roster. Always looking to upgrade this roster. We're going to talk about right now my biggest concerns on why the Rockets will not win the championship next season. And first concern that I have, and this is more so to talk about the concerns and potential weaknesses, and have you guys chime in. Let me know where you see those potential weaknesses. First one is going to be chemistry, of course, and we see this in the NBA time and time again. You know, even going with those Miami Big Three years, they obviously got a couple championships, but didn't result in a championship that first season. And anytime you had a superstar, which you've even seen Kevin Durant, especially Kevin Durant, over in Phoenix, how do you have the two of the starters, two of the starting five players on the Olympic gold medal team, and Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, and you can't even get top 10 in the Western Conference because there's so many different things. Uh, Coaching, chemistry is huge. Even if you have a good coach, the chemistry with those players. So you have a lot of guys that were counted out, or young guys underestimated, guys with chips on their shoulder, along with a coach, an excellent coach with a chip on his shoulder, and something to prove, in a team that wasn't really getting a lot of love or attention. Didn't have high expectations in the Rockets last season. Not extremely high expectations. Now this season, it's going to be completely different. No one's looking at that schedule and underestimating Houston. It's going to be a game that teams are going to be getting up for a lot more. There's going to be a lot more national media attention. A lot of the Tari Eason, Jabari Smith, Reed Shepard. A lot of their progress things are going to be more. I'd say just there's going to be a lot more pressure on progressing even faster. Kevin Durant on the team, how is his chemistry going to? Kevin Durant's somebody that pays a lot of attention to what right or wrong, however you feel about it. Facts are facts. Kevin Durant's somebody who pays a lot of attention to what people say about him. Tremendous accolades. Is he someone that when things get tough? Is he going to be a leader on this team? Is he going to be someone that's just like, hey, I'm Kevin Durant, man. You guys got to figure it out around me. You guys make it happen around me. Look, we didn't lose, y'all lost. You know what I mean? Is he going to have that type of attitude? And then there's also injury concerns. I mean, if Kevin Durant gets hurt, even if it's not for the whole season, if it's something that costs you maybe instead of getting the second seed, getting the fourth seed. You get a bad matchup. You run into Denver in the first round, and then you run in Oklahoma City in the second round. Those could be tough. How's the chemistry going to flow? Just because this roster is better on paper last season and had the second seed in the West doesn't mean that it's going to happen again. A little bit concerned just with the injuries and the fact that Kevin Durant's career, a lot of these, it's been under. Individually, even if not underwhelming, his teams, it's been underwhelming since he's left Golden State. And Denver Nuggets still right now, I think on paper, look like a better team. I'm going to just say, just being honest, and I know I'm playing out both scenarios, but right now where I personally stand, I think that the Rockets right now, third best team in the West. Doesn't mean it won't win it, but I put Oklahoma City. I have to put today. As of today, I have to put Oklahoma City number 1, and I have to put Denver number 2, and then I've got Houston number 3 in the West. Can possibly pull it off against Denver and Oklahoma City. Don't see the Rockets going through both. Minnesota's always is there as well. The Lakers, I do like the Lakers. I do like the Rockets roster right now better than the Lakers, but a lot of it, we saw last season. We saw with Cleveland. So many injuries. Garland had a game where a lot of guys missed. Mobley got banged up. We saw in the NBA Finals with Halliburton. So a lot of this is really going to be health plays a big deal. Steph Curry got hurt last season, so no one can really foresee how that's going to happen. But those are some major concerns. So let me know. Do you think that the Rockets will win it all? Won't win it all? Let me know your comments, concerns, what you love about this team, what you think needs to be corrected in the comments. And one other thing here as we're moving along to this last segment here, I'm going to just briefly touch on the history because we're talking about the NBA here in 2025, and I know I just want to show respect to all the different eras and not be on that. We're done with the plumbers, and we're done with the 90s and all of this stuff. Just show homage to all things, and a lot of people, I don't know how many of you guys, if you go back to the Rockets in 1970, 1971, let me know. I personally don't, but this was the last season that the Rockets were in San Diego before moving to Houston. 1970, 1971, a season actually laid the foundation for some very great things to come. Rockets went 40-42 that year. Were seventh out of 9 teams in the Western Conference, but missed the playoffs. NBA expanded that season, but there still only were 4 teams in each conference. NBA champs that year, 1971, were the Lou Alcindor slash, eventually, of course, changed his name to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, number 2 scorer of all time. Milwaukee Bucks won the championship led by him. Couple things from that season: 5 out of the Rockets' top 6 scorers played in all 82 games that season. Elvin Hayes, 25 years old now at that time, 28.7 points and 16.6 rebounds per game. Through that San Diego Rockets, definitely Hayes, best San Diego Rocket of all time. He had Stu Lance, 20.6 points per game, second on the team. He had a rookie Calvin Murphy on that team and a rookie Rudy Tomjanovich on that team. Rudy T, 5.4 points per game and 4.9 rebounds as a rookie. Calvin Murphy, all rookie team, 15.8 points per game on the season. So just that was the last season in San Diego. All the history from then on is as the Houston Rockets. So let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe, and leave your comments, whatever you like, don't like. Do you want to see Dame in Houston? Yes or no? Do you think that it could fit? Also, any possible trade scenarios and upgrades and any thoughts you have on this roster, feel free to chime in. Will the Rockets win it? Will they not win it? And we're just talking about early mid-July. As far as this team today, you can talk, your gut, you can talk your heart, you can talk your mind. Will the Rockets win the championship next season? Where do you rank them in the West? Where do you rank them in the NBA? Thanks so much for watching again. My name is David Delano. You can follow me on X at GetSportsStrong. This has been Rockets Daily. Let's have a great day.